do your studies, do your feasibility studies. You have to do your, all sorts of studies, including the water flow on the channels. You want to do the detailed technical work on the traffic, on the cargo that will come. And it's also not cheap. As of now, the estimate is about $500 million will be required. But the feasibility justifies the project, right? And so we're working with experts. We have finished the outline business case. We've applied to the Nigerian Ports Authority for the requisite permissions. We're talking to a major international port operator who they're visiting in January. And there's so much work going on behind the scenes. It takes time to build these projects, but we've made amazing progress. But so for us, we'll rather you wake and you see the port.
Thank you, sir. So Benedito Kate will ask his questions now.
Your Excellency, sir, of what you have told us so far, for you, all this require money. And when we understand from the debt management office, as at September 2016, Edo State was among the most indebted states in the country. We are aware that we were sworn in on the 1st of November 2016. And the debt profile was about $175.52 million. And as at 22nd of September 2022, this year, last 6 years down the line, Edo is not among the 10 most indebted states in Nigeria. How are you able to carry out this matter? Because I know fully well Edo was among the first three, Lagos, Kaduna, and Edo as at 2016.
I think first like you said, we came in and inherited a lot of debt. It's unfortunate some people in the previous governments are so reckless in the way they talk and forgetting that there are documents to show what has gone on. The strategy has been first to reduce the stock of debts, particularly the local debts. And on a monthly basis, we pay over 500 million naira to service our debts. We have not taken on any new commercial banking debts. We try to manage within our means. So you see, all the projects we've been undertaking have not involved borrowings from the commercial markets. What we've tried to do, like I said, is partner with our development agencies, and for the loans we have obtained, we've obtained a lot of grants, like the SIFTAS grants, and for the loans we have gotten, it's usually from the World Bank at a very, very concessionary rates, less than 1%, and you pay it over a 20-year period. So the strategy is we've been very prudent financially. We've tried not to borrow except where it's absolutely necessary or the terms and conditions are very, very favorable. And we've tried to cut back on waste and to see how we can make savings and use our own money to undertake our transactions and whatever development work we need to do.
Okay, Edo Best is one of the initiatives of your administration, and it has become a role model to other states in Nigeria. And you also need to understand that from out of the 20 million out-of-school children in Nigeria, Edo has a very relative number of persons who are not on that high ranking of cases of out-of-school children. What is the secret behind this move?
Well, we can't claim all this success. First, Edo has had a tradition, historically, of education. Most families, most homes, have seen the need for education, and they've always encourage their children to go to school. But what we have done is also to make school exciting and interesting by investing in not just only the infrastructure, but also in teaching methods, in the pedagogy, particularly in the way children are taught. So the children want to go to school. They enjoy going to school, and we're able to track their learning because we have now made it possible with the use of technology for the teacher to be tracked to make sure that the teacher is always in school. So from my desk, I can tell whether a teacher is in class or not on a particular day. And if the teacher is not in school, the children cannot learn. So what we've done is first improve the infrastructure. You know, some of our schools now have playgrounds for children, make school fun, but also make the method of teaching the children also fun. And no more corporal punishments. The children are now encouraged to be motivated. They have what you call their character board, so a child goes in, wants to be acknowledged, and they're self-motivated. So by just changing the curriculum, the way children are taught, by making sure that there's no corporal punishment, by getting the parents and the communities involved in the training of children, just has allowed more participation in our school system and educational system. So that's encouraged more enrollments. We've seen parents move their children from private schools down into government schools. So every term we see a surge, an increase in enrollments.
Okay, Excellency, once again, we must thank you for this opportunity because in your first tenure, Edo State residents gave you a name. You earned a name, and that name is Wake and See Governor. Now, you got that name because of so many projects. People will just go to bed, they wake up in the morning, they see new roads, they see new projects, and they just gave you that name. And that name made you very popular. But we are journalists. We interact with the people. There's a school of thought that believes that, the governor earned that name in his first tenure. In his second tenure, it appears the song has changed. Your Excellency, has this song changed?
The song has not changed. In fact, we're doing much more now. First tenure, yes, we build roads. We're building more roads because today we have much more requests. Because when we came in, people didn't believe the government could build roads, right? Now you see that government is building roads. There's a lot more requests for building roads. Last year, in particular, we had a very, very long rainy season. We had only about 4 months, 4 months of dry spell. And, the year before was COVID. So we were not able to do the maintenance work that we normally do on roads. So a lot of our roads, became, went bad.
Okay.
Secondly, in the rural, other areas, most of the federal roads were just impassable. And we then had a situation where large trucks just went through and essentially destroyed most of our roads in many communities, coming in from the west or going to the north. So we've had to, resort to spending much more and building more roads. But so if you take a look, year on year, we've built more roads in the last 2 years than we built in the first 4 years. And the data is there for you to see. because we now know how to build roads.
Yeah.
So we built more roads in the last 2 years than we built in the first 4 years.
So why is that we can see? People
Well,
are no longer
when
talking about
you start
it.
from because it's not novel anymore.
Okay.
People are now used to it, okay, and they want to see more. That's the thing about development. Once you start, then people expect you to do much, much, much more. The other thing that we've been doing is we've been focusing more on sustainability.
Okay.
How do you sustain, what you're doing? How do you make sure that your designs for the roads are, the ones that will endure? How do you make sure that you have proper systems and processes? How do you make sure you check the costs at which you're building roads so that you can continue to? So all of those are things we're doing. The idea of just waking up in the morning and seeing a road is no longer new to people because we're doing that. I'm surprised sometimes when I go to some areas because when we tie a network of roads, not just one road. So I think we're doing more, much more than we did. But second, things have been really difficult in the country for people in the last 2-3 years. So we don't expect the same level of accolades and excitement as the first 2 years.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay,
So,
Your
Olga?
Excellency,
Yeah.
as a follow-up, can you share some of the new ones for us? What's the situation with the Kenwa axis?
Well, for me, I think you should take your camera there and see. That road, the Ekanwa Road is almost at the army barracks now. You see, people, they see, they see a situation that's not, they don't ask questions. The Ekanwa Road project, for instance, is almost a 13.5 kilometer road that required quite substantial drainage to be built in, which has all been done. You go to some areas and the drainage network, the drainage, substructure that was put in place is quite extensive and expensive. It takes a while to do all of those. And it's only when you have finished that before you now begin to see the surfacing and the asphalting. So you go now and it's, the asphalting is progressing rapidly, but people, our detractors will still rather want to talk about nothing happening. Meanwhile, go to the residents and see. So for us, yes, there's a lot of opposition against us because, from sections, why. They'll rather want to look at, paint us bad. But the good thing is that in an election, you see people still come out because of the benefits they've received and vote us. And you're going to see in the next elections that the people are with us because they feel and they see what we're doing for them. So we will not, we are not going to, pander to the media to start to change the narrative in the media because the narrative in the people's minds is what is more important.
Okay, let me just quickly ask this. As a policy statement, Your Excellency, you want to tell Edo people when exactly you complete the Upper Ikenwa Road Dualization Road Project?
That project was supposed to be a 36-month project.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're on time. It's, in fact, we're just added the electrification, the street lights on it. So I don't see, for 12 or how many years that road wasn't done, it wasn't that, right? At one point in time, and sometimes it was even, you couldn't get through, it was divided. You had the situation of Spain and Morocco, right? If you remember. People seem to have very short memories.
Yeah.
It's a difficult terrain. And our work plan was it was going to take 36 months to finish. And we are almost on time. So I don't see what the challenge is. It's not like the work has been abandoned. The work is ongoing, isn't it? But, you had 8 months of, very extensive and heavy rainfall. That's, the contractor couldn't do too much, had to wait. Now that it's, we have dry spells. Go there and see what is going on.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Your Excellency, you made mention of challenge funding. And this will not be complete without talking about the 13% derivation funding that is generating a lot of controversy in the country. What's the true state? How much have you gotten and how much have you expended?
It's just for me, here again, it's like maybe people are just idle, so they don't have better things to talk about. First, this is money that was supposed to be paid to all producing states. That was not. The derivation, the 30% wasn't paid to them. So it's not, it's their due. And, it was calculated, and it's like a refund that's coming to them. Yes, it's a lot of money. But Edo State only got 28 billion, right? And this is not money that is being given to you as cash as 28 billion. It's going to be paid over 5 years in quarterly installments. So far, only 3 quarters have been paid, about 2 billion. Monthly, we make 3 billion from taxes. So when you compare the so-called 13% derivation to where we're in, it's nothing. But for here again, it becomes a big issue. What is 13%? It's nothing. Our taxes alone last year was 41 billion IGR. So you can't go 28 to 31. So people don't have anything to criticize us on. So they try and rake up issues that are non-issues. Totally non-issues. Sometimes we try not to answer because sometimes the levies, accusations look so silly and juvenile. Like I said, every month, our average Rev IGR is about 3 billion. We've only been paid 2 billion out of the 28 billion, which is going to be paid over 5 years. So why is that a big deal?
So how is the tax reforms going? Tax reforms, how effective? Revenue generation?
Yes, we are, automating the revenue generation process. We are trying to make sure that it is fair and it is well monitored, because we know what has happened here. We're trying to move to a situation where all the taxes we collect go straight into bank accounts, and so we're not collecting cash for tax payments. We're also ensuring that we focus on those who earn the highest. They should be the ones to pay the most taxes. Those who own properties, those who are collecting rents, those whose property values are going up. When I tar the road on your street, the property value of that, the value of that property goes up. The rental income goes up. It's only fair that you should pay more to even maintain the roads, so that we can maintain the roads and build more roads. So, in a nutshell, we're trying to expand the tax bracket. Today, we have less than 250,000 people in Edo State who pay taxes, out of a population that's going up to almost 6 million. So we need to get more people into the tax net, and we need to get more people to pay, pay relative to what they are earning.
Is there anything like double taxation in the state? Are people paying double taxes?
I don't know about double taxes, because what we're trying to avoid or stop is where different agencies go to the same people to collect different types of taxes. So rather, all the taxes are bunched together, so that if you own a store, for instance, on Mission Road, you know what you're supposed to pay, and you pay it once, rather than one group coming today to say you have not paid this tax, and another coming in the next day to say you have not paid the other type of tax.
Thank you, Excellency. Benedicto Kate, your question?
Yes. Your Excellency, sir, it is no longer news that the State Civil Service and as well as the public service is having a remarkable improvement with regards to training, retraining of its workforce, as well as the work environment. You go to Sapler Road, people know what is happening there. But the major thing at this point now is this. What efforts are you putting in place towards ensuring that these facilities that are of world-class standard that are there at the moment are preserved and protected when you are out of office?
I think you mentioned it. First, you're training people, you're changing their mindsets. You're getting them to value what you're providing for them. You are getting them to use what you're providing more for them. For instance, take the issue of the infrastructure. Osiomo is connected to all our government, most of our government buildings, which means that the power source, the steady power source, will continue to be there to, run the services in the buildings. Unlike in the past, where almost every building or every floor had to have its own generator. Secondly, we're putting in place, we now have a maintenance agency for public buildings. So there's somebody or a contractor that goes around every week, to just check to make sure that the place is properly cleaned, the elevators are working, that the bulbs are changed, and all the things that you need to do. So you don't wait until everything goes down before you begin to maintain or to rebuild. So we're putting in place the institutional arrangements for sustainability. We're also making sure that we train the public servants, retool their processes, how things are done and how things are monitored and measured. So it's a total change. It's just not about one person not being there because I'm not there, therefore things will fall apart again. It's now making sure that while I'm here, we're training people to see their involvement, to see that they are part and parcel of a system, and it's their responsibility to keep the system going. It's just not an Obaseki problem, it's an Edo problem.
Yes, before now, we know that most government offices, ministries, departments, and agencies, they were operating rented apartments. I know that was a huge cost to government. Do you have plans to bring all of them into the state secretariat complex, because we know what is also ongoing and the campus houses?
Okay, so what we have done, like I said, we are rethinking government in its entirety. So what we've done is to look at government, and like I say, we have thematic areas. So we've taken the Secretariat Complex blocks A, B, C, the Palm House, the Public Service Commission building, and that houses the core civil service and some core ministries. We've looked at other hubs. So if you go to the ADP complex now in Oko, we are building the Agri-Hub. So all the ministries that are related to agriculture and natural resources, like forestry commission, all of them are going to be housed there. If you go further down Sapele Road, you have the planning, hub. So you have the Ministry of Physical Planning, you have Edo GIS, you have, all the agencies related to located in there. Stella Basanjo behind there, we are also building the medical hub. So all the agencies related to, the healthcare system, the healthcare management board, the insurance agency, all of them are going to be housed in the health hub close to the hospital. Then finally, we just finished the design of the education hub in Yaro, where all the agencies related to education, the ministry, SUBEB, the secondary education board for technical education, all of them will be located in a particular hub, so that they can all work and flow together, and we will have enough office spaces that government may not need to rent private properties to house offices.
On this segment, Your Excellency, sir, the John Obide Public Service Academy, I know it has impacted on most of the public and civil servants. Have also benefited. 1 month training with the professor let's start with that. Is that place open for private use?
Not for now. We have to first train us, make sure that we've optimized. We didn't set it up for private use. We set it up to train government and public, civil and public servants to get them more efficient. By the time we have professionalized the academy enough, we will look at running, I hope the management may consider running other programs. But I think they'll be busy enough with just, providing services to the public and civil services.
Okay, Your Excellency, I want to thank you again because it's very important that we let you know that the viewer, members of the public, are really, really interested in what you are doing now, allowing us to ask the questions and you giving the answers so they know exactly what is happening in your administration. So you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at ITV Radio NG. You can ask your questions. His Excellency is ready to provide answers. Okay, now I will be looking at politics. The history of politics in Edo State cannot be complete without your name being mentioned. Now, this has to do with the drama associated with your defection from the APC to the PDP. And now that you're in the PDP, a lot is happening. There's crisis, and while the crisis is on, some persons have given you a new name. And in local palace, they call you a maton. Now, by interpretation, that is an Iron Man. Are you really an Iron Man? What is happening in the PDP now that you are there?
Well, I think politics, as you know, is about negotiating. And, it's also about change. Any politics that is static is not enduring. So, for us today in Edo, we just believe that our politics must be related to the people. It must be about the people. Politics cannot just be for politicians alone. Yes, the political parties will produce candidates. Yes, the political parties have their programs which they're selling to the people. But what is more important is the people, how they receive those programs, how they trust and believe in, So you've had tensions, even in my other party, it's the same with that old political class. Should politics just be about us alone or about the people? So how do we sort out ourselves when we play politics within our party? And how do we relate our politics within the party with what the people want?
Okay, thank you, Excellency. We'll ask more questions, but we'll just take a brief break now. And after that, we'll continue the program. It is the Made-in Media Chart with His Excellency, the Governor of Edo State. Just stay tuned.
Sit back and say, okay, let's please ourselves first. Let's take out all the gravy. And then after that, we now, focus on the people and begin to look at what the people want. It's very dangerous politics. So we will rather first provide services to the people, make sure the people are happy before we politicians now become happy. But it doesn't help us to please ourselves, to make politicians happy, and then the people are not happy.
So the way things are going in the party, your party, the PDP, are you not concerned?
No, at all, we're not concerned. I mean, this is where conversations going on. At the end of the day, everybody wants PDP. Whether you have one or two or three factions, everybody is still a member of the party. And on election day, you're going to vote the party. You're going to vote the party symbol. So it is not a big, it's not a serious an issue. And then you also have to understand that some of the factors at play are not internally determined. They go beyond the state, the politics of the state. But by and large, within the state, within the PDP family in the state, I know that those who joined with me and those who we met, if you look at the party in totality today, we're about 75%.
All right, I want to take you back away from politics, land grabbing, and the recent movement of bulldozers to some communities. Maybe you can shed more light on that.
I think for us, like I told you, the purpose of government is to provide safety and security for its citizens, to protect them and their properties. the day government fails in that responsibility, there's no basis for the government. So if you have land today and somebody just moves in and takes the land and parcels it out and starts to sell, and you can't do anything about it, would you invest? Wouldn't you move? That's the situation we are finding. That even where people can go into government reserves, government land, and just take it and start to build, because there's no consequence. If they can do that to government, who is safe? And should we just now fold our arms and allow it continue? There's a process for acquiring land. And so people should go through that process. So you have a situation in Edo today where a group of young men or women just wake up, buy guns, and just move into communities, bring bulldozers, and open up the spaces, and start selling the land and giving you their own documents. That's a recipe for anarchy. So it has to be stopped, because this is Mr. A today, it will be Mr. B tomorrow. You'll sit in your house and somebody will just wake up one day and say, leave this house, it's now my property.
Okay, so there was a gap in governance in that regard.
What we meant, yes, the Land Use Act specified that there will be continuous supply, structured supply of land into the market. Those before me did not do as much. The last administration did not. And the population is growing. So, so when you allow a situation, a gap, yes, people tend to fill it in, but it doesn't make it right. So we're correcting that now. We're set up a new towns development agency. We're putting more land into the markets. We're making sure that the land is properly documented, CFOs issued. Now it's an offense in Edo State to build without ownership. If you have not shown us the documents that this land belongs to you, you have a right of occupancy or a certificate of occupancy or some legal title, you cannot build on it.
Okay, as a follow-up to that, before Benedict Okati, now, how are you coping with the resistance?
There's very little resistance, because you thieves cannot be more than the owners. Thieves in a community are usually not more than the owners of that community. We are protecting innocent people. We're protecting innocent people from their properties being stolen. And that is the role of government. We're not taking the properties for ourselves. So let us be clear about the debate. A lot of these people go in there, make illicit money, buy arms, and take over communities. They're creating parallel and alternative governments, which is really, really dangerous. And in some parts of the country today, that's the trend. There's almost anarchy. And we cannot allow Edo to descend to that.
Thank you, sir. Benedict Okati.
Excellency, sir. Yes, Edo Light project. Before you came into office on November 2016, BEDC almost held Edo State and some other states around here to ransom. And even Government House was affected. I know very well of that. And the Osomo Power Project has given us a relief. If you go around Benin City, especially at night, in the last few months, nightlife is gradually returning. So how do you hope to sustain this project, Your Excellency, sir?
Well, first, Edo is very blessed. Edo is an electricity hub in this country. We don't have as much problems as many other states, because we have the source to create energy, to create electricity. We have cheap gas. Don't forget, Edo has one of the largest reserves of onshore gas in the country. That's one. The gas network passes through Edo. The transmission network passes through Edo. Right? And where generation and transmission meets is the cheapest point to generate electricity. So that's why we're able to attract a company like Azura to build a 450 megawatts plant which we own an interest. And so that gave us an insight into the possibilities. But unfortunately, we couldn't work with the old management of the Benin Electricity Distribution Company, because our plan was, look, having invested, in Azura and subsequently in Osiomo, we can now put a bit more power into their local networks for our use. Other states might have a problem with transmission, getting the power there. But we're saying the power is right here and can be used. You recall the challenges we had with the old management of BEDC, who claimed that this was their territory. And whatever we did, we had to pay them or take permission from them. We were in court for a while until we were able to, fight our way through. And, you now got Osiomo. They delayed Osiomo for 2 years. They held us in court. So to answer your question directly now, we have generation. We've now found out
that Edo State government has banned prostitution. And you have to tell us what informed that. And the girls actually ran away, but now they're back.
I think for us, honestly, we didn't go out to ban prostitution outright. We just realized that there was a link, very strong link, between drug use and prostitution, and some social misconduct. So you go to some areas at night and you see young children who are running drugs, right? And you see these girls, who hang in the streets because they attract, and we just felt that it's not good for the development of any society, because the amount for us, the biggest issue was the issue of drugs. And aligned to that is prostitution. So we felt that, look, once you get rid of, get a lot of these people out of the streets, then it will not attract the people who come in there to use drugs and buy drugs.
Okay.
So we are in the last lap of
a quick one now.
A quick one. I just feel this session will not be complete without talking about the NUJ Secretariat and the controversy. So let's hear from the horse's mouth.
From here again, it's just amazing how people just create things that don't exist. So they said, we want to come and take over the NUJ building. There was no such conversation. As we speak today, we are building the cultural district. Part of the cultural district will include restoring sections of the moat. The NUJ building is close to the moat. So we had sent people to go behind to see. And apparently there's been some encroachment on the moat. The NUJ building is not encroaching the moat. But behind it and other areas, there are encroachments. So we went there to see what was going on. Is it wrong to do that? And the fact that you have gone to make inquiries to try and understand what is going on, that is tantamount to you taking over the property. And it's just, here again, you see, it's unfortunate that we just have people who just hate progress. They are just angry with the kind of reforms we're undertaking, and they look for every excuse to create something to try and tarnish our government, to try and put our government in bad light. But we are not worried, because we know that we're on the right path, and they'll tire out. We have the staying power, because we must fix Edo.
Okay, a quick one from Benedict. A quick one.
Yes, Your Excellency, sir. Your state-owned media outfit, we cannot thank you enough, Edo Broadcasting Service, since it was established by Professor Ambrose Ali, former governor of the defunct Bende State, over 40 years ago. The transformation we are seeing there today has never happened. Even as we are talking, our work is ongoing there. So what plans do you have, Your Excellency, sir, to ensure that the signals of the TV is received by people in Edo North? The radio has gone beyond Edo State, even neighboring states, they are receiving the signals.
It's a work in progress, because one of the things we're doing is revamping our entire media infrastructure, whether it's Observer, whether it's Edo Publishing, Edo Printing Press, and we are refurbishing all our media outlets, and we're trying to reposition them to be competitive in the marketplace. And so, therefore, we're making the investments required. And we're also hoping that at a certain point in time, government will step back from essentially determining the editorial contents of these media houses and allow them to be market-facing, more market-facing. So, yes, we're making those investments. First, we want to complete the infrastructure renewal, then rebuild your studios, and then bring in high-end quality digital equipment for you to get longer range for transmission.
This is really enjoyable, nice, and we hope that His Excellency will sustain this media chart so that people will continue to hear from you directly. We hope you do that, sir.
Yes, we are, for the first 6 years we're building, because we came into government, into politics, where people just talk and nothing to show. Today we're ready to chat, and we're ready to show you and point to things we have done, not just talk about things that we will do or things that don't exist. So we're ready to. We have things to chat about,
okay,
and we'll chat a lot and begin to let the people know exactly what is going on.
Thank you, sir. So finally, I just tie this together. You promised to build an airport in Edo North. Are you going to do that? And what do we expect from you in the new year?
For the airport in Edo North, like we said, it makes sense, because between Benin City and Abuja, which is almost 500 kilometers, there's no airport. So if there's an emergency in Edo North, Kogi, how do you get there? So that airport is very, very important. And for instance, don't forget you have a lot of mining activities and a lot of cement production activities in that part of. So there is a market. So what we've done is we've acquired the land. So communities have been, very generous, of course, in the land. We have made the applications to the minister and the NCAA. They have come in to look at the area, to, like I said, see the wind flow, to see the approach, to make sure that it is suitable, and they are quite, pleased with what they've done. And so the next stage is to try and get a license, and here again get partners. We're also talking to partners who are prepared to partner with Edo State to build the airport and manage the airport. As much as possible, we don't want the government to do things outside its areas of competence. It's always better to see how you can work with those who know, that particular subject area or that business, and work with them on it.
So what do we expect in the new year?
In the new year, we are expecting a very, very interesting political outcome, right? Where, by the grace of God, my candidate will be the president of Nigeria. And we're very, very clear as to what the future of this country should be. We're very clear that, with our party at the center, the main issues inhibiting our progress and development as a country will begin to address. First, devolution of power. So a lot more resources will now be made available. We should be able to have the latitude to do more for ourselves rather than go to Abuja with a begging bowl every month. We should be able to, working with him, I've gotten the assurance, like transactions like our river port, which will open up our economy, good, we'll get the support of government, of the federal government. So I'm looking forward towards next year as that year of deliverance, that year in which Edo State will be able to begin to fast forward its development and begin to have a very clear path to, where he wants to be in 30 years' time.
On behalf of my colleagues, Benedict Okate, Controller News, EBS, Ogo Chukuka Ona, Manager News NTA, and my humble self, Egosa Agmalao, Manager News and Current Affairs, ITV Benin. Your Excellency, we want to thank you for this opportunity again. It's been Media Chat with His Excellency, the Governor of Edo State. I hope you've enjoyed today's section. I'm optimistic we'll have His Excellency again. I want to wish you a Happy New Year.
And next time, I want to hear from the public. I want to get
Yes.
for them.
It should be on a quarterly basis.
It depends on
So
His Excellency.
I can get questions,
Okay,
not
so-
only from you.
Okay,
but from
so
the
next
press.
time, because we actually told you to follow, next time we know you'll be used to it and we'll get the feedback from the public. Ask your questions. Thanks for being a part of the Media Chat. Happy New Year in advance.